We have a chance for coastal mid-Atlantic and New England snow this weekend. Record-breaking cold air is set to sink into the eastern US over the next few days, and we may have a major pattern change just ahead. It's December 3rd, 2025. Let's get into the weather updates. I quickly wanted to take a look at what's going on around the country. We have some snow falling up here in the UP of Michigan and in northern Michigan, some snow falling here through Wyoming, and we have some storminess out here as well through portions of the southern Rockies. Other than that, most of the country looks pretty quiet right now. Let's take a look at what the next 10 days could look like for us across the states. We do have a potential snowstorm heading for the East Coast, so we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to look a little bit ahead. As you can see, we have this low pressure system moving off the coast, and overnight we had some light snow moving through the upper Midwest. This is still triggering some lake effect snow up there around the Great Lakes, and we have some snow showers out here in the Rockies. Moving forward in time, as we get through the day today and into tomorrow, you're going to see we start to get some moisture being pulled off of the Gulf here. Our polar jet is quite collapsed, so this is a lot of cold air meeting up with this moisture and heading out east. Now, as we get through Thursday and into Friday, the 00Z Euro last night still thinks we're going to have some snow up here, potentially for the mid-Atlantic coast and the New England coast. I said this a couple days ago. I think I said it yesterday as well. It's going to be cold enough up here for snow. So someone's going to get ice, someone's going to get mixing, but I'm still pretty confident, again, if we can get that moisture on the north end of this storm, that we're going to have snow falling in these cities. Not a ton of snow, but we could definitely get some accumulation. The GFS actually only sees this rain on the southern end, doesn't see that moisture forming on the north end of this low pressure system. So it's going to be a close call. Right now, the Europeans favoring it. Now, as we move through the weekend and that system moves off the coast, we still have a nice stream of moisture down here through the southeast, and we're getting a lot of moisture continuously funneling into the Pacific Northwest, and this is helping to pull some moisture out here through the Rockies, and then we're getting some clippers here through the upper Midwest. Getting into early next week, you can see our polar jet is continuing to collapse. This is a ton of cold air out here for the east, especially up here through New England and the mid-Atlantic. It's going to be well below average. Not much precipitation to talk about as we get into Monday next week, but then as we get into the midweek, we may have a system trying to push down here through the Great Lakes region out towards New England and potentially the mid-Atlantic. We still have a big ridge out here in the west. We're warm, we're dry, except for, again, the Pacific Northwest. If we zoom out here, you can see that atmospheric river and all of those storm systems continue to move into the Pacific Northwest, and we are getting slammed with snow out here in British Columbia. Now, here's where things get really interesting to me, and I've been talking about this for a couple of videos, but this time frame between December 9th and December 12th, we see a large collapse of our polar jet out east, and we see multiple storm systems trying to form up the coast here. This is one of those scenarios that could promote a very serious nor'easter. Now, we're talking 200 plus hours out, but we do have model consensus now on this major collapse of cold air. Again, we're still talking about 8 days out, but this would be a really nice setup for East Coast snow, and this would likely bring some record-breaking temperatures down into the southeast. In the mid-range, our European model still likes this rocky snow and is tilting that snow out towards the northeast here, as are the other global models. We need to talk about these temperatures over the next 7 to 10 days. As we get into tomorrow, look at all of these record-breaking lows here. We're talking -13, -14, -7, -12. This is stretching from eastern Nebraska through Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, northern Missouri, Illinois. We could see widespread negatives. And then as we move into Friday, we could see these record low temperatures stretching from eastern Missouri all the way up through New England. Again, we're looking at potentially -5 in Chicago, and then single digits all the way out east and up the coast through New England. Even getting into early next week, we could still see record lows from the mid-Atlantic up through New England. Here's the Climate Prediction Center's most up-to-date 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and it's very obvious that cold air wants to be out east, and not just out east, but take a look up here in the mid-Atlantic and again in New England. We're not just talking 5 to 10 degrees below average, we're talking 30 to 40 degrees below average in some cases. And moving to our 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, it stays cold out east and it stays warm out west. I still think we may have a mid-month warm up for the east. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But for the average of December, we still are expecting the east to remain average to below average, especially below average if you're up there in the northern tier states, stretching from the northern plains, obviously through the Midwest and up through the Northeast. Let's take a quick look at how these temperatures progress. Getting into today, we have a lot of cold air, obviously out east. It's actually not too bad out west as well. You can see some cool temperatures out there. But look at this getting into tomorrow. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, northern Missouri, Iowa, we could be seeing temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average. And then that cold air begins to envelop the east. Now, getting into this weekend, we're still pretty cold out east. We're starting to get that ridge forming again out west, so some warmer air out west, and we're pretty warm down here in the far southeast, but I do believe we have some cold air on the way for Florida. As we push through the weekend towards Sunday, we have some more cold air moving into the north. You can see why the Climate Prediction Center is saying in the 6 to 10 day forecast we could be very, very cold up here. These temperature anomalies are just nonstop 10 to 20 degrees plus below average. And look at the west, we are extremely hot. Some of this precipitation out here isn't even falling as snow in the mountains because we're so above average. Now pushing into early next week, this is when again we could see these record-breaking temperatures up here in the northeast. We're still seeing the potential for 30 to 40 degrees below average. And now this is that time frame I've been talking about as we approach December 12th. Look at this cold air that wants to completely engulf the east all the way down to Florida. This may give us a chance for a nice winter storm system, maybe even down in the south. We'll see. It's hard to get it this early in the season, but we will be below freezing a lot of areas in the southeast if we see the polar jet dip down like this. So this would give you at least a chance for snow as we approach next weekend if we continue to see the models verify this pattern. And right after that, another shot of cold air. So continuing to stay cold. Now here's where things get interesting. At the end of the run, you start to see this above average air trying to push out east. And I do think this is possible. It does look like, at least for a brief period of time, as we approach maybe the 15th, 16th of December, we're going to try to get some of that troughing back down into the west and maybe a brief zonal flow, if not some ridging back out east. But I do think that will correct itself. I do believe we'll be back below average out east as we approach Christmas time. And you can kind of see, looking at the European ensemble 500 millibar height anomaly, that's kind of what it tries to do. It tries to bring a little bit of a zonal flow, ridging out east, and then it corrects itself and brings that trough back down into the east. This is something models grabbed onto a little over a week ago, and I started to notice it. So again, I still think it's possible. There are now some models that say, no, we're skipping the warm up. We're staying cold out east. But just letting you know, if you start to see a warm up mid-month and you're out east and you say, well, there goes our white Christmas chances, I think it corrects itself pretty quickly. Although going into January, I think we're probably, at least for a brief period of time, going to see this flip, and we're going to see some ridging out east, and we're going to see some troughing out west. Last but not least, I did want to show you our 7-day precipitation forecast here. Look at the Pacific Northwest. You guys are getting pummeled by that atmospheric river and storm system after storm system. Some of this moisture is funneling down into the Rockies though, so that is helping the Rockies with some of that snow. Even though you've got some ridging out there, we're cold enough in the Rockies for snow. Obviously out here towards the southeast, tons of rainfall. Not really for South Florida, but you can see up here towards the Panhandle, southern Georgia, southern Alabama, down there along coastal Mississippi, Louisiana, potentially stretching out to Houston, and then up the southeastern Atlantic coast here, Savannah, and then coastal North Carolina. You guys should see some pretty good precipitation over the next 7 days. Big hole out here in the middle of the country, obviously. Now, if we do get this mid-month warm up out east, you'll probably see some storms riding through the plains because you'll have that kind of baroclinic boundary right through that region, and that will promote some moisture. So even though you're dry here now, if we do see that flip, you'll get a lot of moisture in this region, potentially snow. We'll have to see. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post videos like this every single morning, and as soon as I post, I hop on live to answer all of your weather-related questions. And if you want to become a member of the Climate Crew, the link to my Discord is right down in the description. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or in the live stream.